Thank you, Mr. Uday. And now I invite Mr. Rohit Pillai from Par Excellence to please come over and share his thoughts.
We are running short of time, so I shall keep it concise. Young people, I don't presume to even know the challenges that you're going to face. It would be arrogance on my part. I had no clue that this is what the world was going to be when I was your age. And I'm sure when you are my age, you will be standing in front of some audience and saying the same thing. We have heard the old cliche, change is the only constant. I think you should come to peace with that somehow or the other. Because you really have no clue the way the world changes, and it happens so rapidly. What we can do is to develop an innovative or a flexible attitude. And that is why it was not enough for IQ, they had to go to EQ, and now they are pushing SQ. Of course, let me be very honest, I'm a trainer, I end up with the actual employees, and I can tell you that a major part of why companies push EQ and SQ and stuff and all that is to retain employees without having to pay them more. That is fine. There is a limit to how much you can pay somebody. Princeton University just recently has concluded a study, and they found out that you cannot motivate a person with money more than $75,000 a year. That is the point apparently at which the old argument that you cannot buy happiness is true. Till that point, if you cannot buy happiness, you didn't know where to shop. But after you get $75,000 a year, apparently you need deeper emotional connectedness. You need to feel that your life is of some value to yourself, to your colleagues, to your societies. You're all going to be leading terribly busy lives. The 8-hour workday is now part of mythology. Please do not expect to be leading 8-hour workdays. All of you will be working a lot. So whether you like it or not, 5 days or 6 days, your colleagues, your workplace is going to be your samaj. Your samaj is not, your society is not what you will come home to. You will come home to and you will barely have time to check on what your kids are doing, and if you are lucky, have a fight with your spouse. Your samaj is going to be, your society is going to be where you work. Now if you don't find some method, some way of making that a pleasant experience, you are going to make your life pretty miserable. The amount of time we all have is the same, 86,400 seconds a day. So how come some people are more successful, some people are less successful? The answer in India, in ancient India, the answer was a very simple one. You have to raise your intensity. By raising your inner intensity, you become more efficient, you become more effective. That is the whole point and purpose of yoga. Yoga is not about running away to the Himalayas, though I wouldn't be too quick to condemn people who do that. I met the people who are in the Himalayas. You couldn't do that. They have no clothes, they don't eat any food. We should not be so quick to think that, oh, they are escapists. They are capable of doing abnormal things, extraordinary things. But yoga is fundamentally from the word yug, to unite, to join. It is about connectedness. You to yourself first, most important. Then to family, then to society, then to the world. That is yoga. There is an old definition of yoga which some of you may have or may not have heard. It is said, yoga karmaneshu kaushalya. Yoga is anything that is skillful action. Jahan bhi karam kushalta se karte ho, use yog kehte hain. Yoga karmaneshu kaushalya. Now what does one do? How does one make make of one's work a yoga. You need two things. You need yama and niyama. These are part of the Ashtanga school of yoga. I am a practicing yogi myself. I don't look like one, but I am. I have a meditational circle too. Whether we like it or not, we are now one civilization. Just look. Yes? We don't have to be one culture. I can make this speech just as well in a dhoti, but 90% credibility would go down. And there is no point fighting that. Spitting against the wind may be interesting, but it is not useful. This is the norm today. So fine, we don't have to accept that norm. Many people make the point that we are too driven by Western notions of what constitutes management intelligence. I agree. We are the first country in the world to have what was called Niti Shastras. Niti Shastras are Panchatantra, Chanakya, Arthashastra. They are manuals on how to succeed, and trust me, there are no principles of management or how to succeed which are not found in the Niti Shastras. Even in the Mahabharata, Shanti Parva, most of the principles of management are there, and they are not airy-fairy, up in the sky, too spiritual to be good. The Arthashastra opens with the words Kosha Purva Sarvarambam, which means first make money, then everything begins. After you make money, everything begins. Now that was the original idea of yoga. Yoga was meant to integrate people. Yoga was not meant to generate vairagya and get people to abandon their responsibilities and take sannyasa. That is only for exceptional people. Yoga was for the ordinary person. Yoga was for the ordinary person to become more. And the two factors that were needed were yama and niyama. Yama means restraint, niyama means discipline. But at a deeper level, yama means what are your values? What are going to be your personal values? How are you going to live life? And niyama means your discipline. What is your routine? You have to ask yourself these two questions. You have to answer these two questions. I cannot, because this is a unique process for each and every individual. You have to answer these two questions. What are my values? What is my discipline? Then you become an integrated person. There is a very old Greek word which is called enteleki, and it is the only word I have found which resonates with what we call swadharma. What is your purpose in life? What is it that you and only you were meant to do? Nobody from the outside can tell you that. You are supposed to discover that. You are supposed to discover that through your work. If you can find that, there is no need to separate oneself. You see this compartmentalization of this is work, this is my family, this is my spiritual life. That compartmentalization is completely artificial and against our tradition in the first place. And then of course there is management and mankind, the other compartmentalization. These are all artificial divisions that have come up, but there is no need for you to continue that. We belong to a slightly older generation. The dominance of the colonial thinking, the colonial system of education was too great. You all are very lucky. You all are in a generation which does not have any of that. So something unique, independent, creative, as he said, is expected from you. Because in the workplace, nobody is going to reward you for working hard and working long hours. Competence is assumed. That is the basis today. If your only achievement is I have worked long, they'll say that's why we pay you a salary. Excellence is expected. And excellence is something that you have to decide for yourself. This is what I see as excellence. Spiritual quotient. What is spiritual quotient? Are we so separate from our spirit? Are we so separate from our soul that we need to be trained on it? It is completely absurd. These are competencies, capabilities, availabilities within all of us. But we have to examine ourselves. We have to develop a small relationship with ourselves, which we are not encouraged to do. relationship with ourselves. If we take that time out, take half a day out, what is it that I really want to do? How can I really make a difference? How does it matter to the world that I have been born? If you can answer these questions, there is no power on earth that will prevent you from becoming a successful person and a spiritual person too. You can keep sannyasa for vanaprastha, right? After retirement. Though my suggestion is, please do some meditation every day. 20 minutes is enough. It is the best investment that you can ever make into your own self. Try it 1 month. After that, I don't need to sell it to you anymore. So spiritual quotient, it is not something that will take you away from your success. It is not something that will take you away from your position or your status. That was never the idea in India. Nobody had to abandon anything. We are an inclusive country. We are not an exclusive country. We do not exclude, we include. Spirituality was just the substratum, it was just the foundation on which the rest of success used to be built. Please have an Indian way of succeeding. We do not need to imitate Western methodologies of succeeding, which is what more or less everybody has been saying. Let us have an Indian way of succeeding. Right up to the time of the Mughals, we were always the richest country in the world. We seem to be well on track, but given the social problems and the sheer poverty, we should not be content that we have some aspects or some people in society succeeding and the rest of them are all consigned to the dustbin. That is not acceptable. It should not be acceptable. And the hope is now that we do not have any colonial baggage and we have such institutes and we have such young people who seem to be far, far brighter and capable and ambitious. We really hope that there is something worthwhile emerging from India. And I do not know which of you wishes to be the person leading that, facilitating that, catalyzing that, but surely there must be somebody. There must be somebody. I will not take up any more time. Thank you.